Artwork can take many different shapes, forms, and sizes, and of course gardening is an art form all on its own. Creating beautiful outdoor spaces often change from year to year with different patterns, shapes, and colors as nature evolves and grows. Today we are visiting Elaine Naden in her beautiful living space, and she's going to show us how to create some garden sculptures.
Well, what we're going to do is some sand casting. You've got options of having one that you can hang up,
Right.
or we'll have one on a base.
Right. I'm taking the base.
You take the base. You create your own base, or sorry, form.
Right.
Or you can use the form of the container. I generally like to go and do my own thing.
Okay, so we're going to dig in the sand
dig in the sand.
Woo!
Yeah.
Loving it.
And you can use tools to push it around if you wish. It's also important to, make a good seal of sand, pack your sand around any of your objects in there so that the concrete doesn't swallow it up. So wherever we imprint it in the sand, it's going to be visible on one side, and then when we pour the grout, we're going to make sure we don't cover this so that you've got a light coming through. We've got some shells, seashells, some, just given to me from people. Oftentimes it's, dollar store buys. Rocks, there's polished rocks, there's rocks out of my garden. We have driftwood. I have piles of driftwood around my yard I shop out of. Anything nature. We use some sticks with moss on it, colored beads, colored glass. Yeah, it's whatever your imagination takes you. I like to use the glass, particularly when we've got a two-sided piece or a 3D piece. The light just blings right through that glass, and depending on the color and your environment, yeah, to me that's all of it, is catching the light. You want to make sure some of it's embedded in the sand when you first started, because the concrete isn't going to cover that exposed area. The part that's in the sand is going to be exposed. When you do the pour, you want to make sure that some of that glass is not covered in the grout. That way you have the see-through product.
And then we just sprinkle it down?
You sprinkle it in. You don't want to tap it through too hard because it won't grab onto concrete, right?
Okay. Inspiration,
I would have to say, came to me just mainly. I was a landscape maintenance landscape architect for 25 years. So my mindset was still there even though I retired, and it was just always something I wanted to do. You needed jewelry for your garden, and I like the bling. So that's really where it came from, is my previous career. And it just evolves. They started out to be pretty rough, and they're slowly getting to be something I'm pretty proud of. And fill those holes up.
nice.
Black rock in there, blue rocks on the side there. Kind of want to do a muffin mix first, you know what I mean? Always just pour a little bit of water, get it stirred up, mixed up. You want it to start out as a crumbly sort of mixture. And then really, honestly, I just sprinkle with my fingers and slowly add water that way till I get the consistency that's either gonna be muffin batter, which is a little heavier, or a little bit more water, you get more of a pouring batter. So it's really dependent on what you want your outcome to be and how fine your image is.
See, I think I probably added too much water because mine's...
Oh, you can add a little bit more.
Is that too runny?
Matter. All it does is mean you got to wait a little longer.
Because if I put glass in that, it'll
fall
sink.
through. You have to wait a bit longer. Okay. Which is pretty crumbly, not quite a crumble, but yeah, that's a good stage for something like that. See, so hers clumps, mine sort of oozes, and that's what we want. Just more of that.
That's a fun shot.
If you want to make a duplicate, take a picture before you pour the grout, so you have an idea, you remember what's on the other side. Otherwise, you've got two different images, and then that's okay too. You know, it's whatever artist you want to be at that moment, and that's how I work. I rarely do the same thing twice. That never happens. Whether you want to hand place the grout or you want to pour it. Well, if someone's afraid of using the concrete or the grout, another option is plaster. Kids use that all the time. So even on your summer holidays, you're on a beach, stick your hand in the sand, pour some plaster in there, and you know, you've got a memory of your holiday.
This is not a technique for someone who needs to control the outcome 100%. You're dealing with the limitations of sand and concrete in a three-dimensional form. It is very different than painting.
I learned this process theoretically in brownies. Won't even say what date that was. By using a lot of natural products, I'm intertwining the landscape in with any of the sculptures. The beauty of a garden is it changes daily, weekly, monthly, season-wise. So it's never static. And I find by adding some of the jewelry, as I call it, it's you know, it's enhancing areas that might not necessarily have that bling it did in spring. So I'm moving stuff around as far as art around my garden all the time, as well as the plant material. Another option you can do if you don't want the glazed finish,
Right?
we can pour sand on top.
Ah, okay.
Pack the sand, and then it gives you two rough surfaces.
Right.
Everything's there. I store it on shelves. It'll take a couple of days. It won't be entirely cured, but we can pull it out, have a look, hose it off, all the sand and everything else off, clean it up. When you unveil one, yeah, it is like Christmas because you really don't know what it's going to be. You're doing something blind almost. When you're setting it into sand, you don't really know what it looks like until the piece has set and you pull it out, wash it off, and yeah, it's pretty cool to see how it turned out. You know, what you could improve on next time, but I think all the time they turn out awesome. Even if there is a flaw you would see, maybe it's not really a flaw. Just a learning exercise. In the end, once everything's cured, it's dry, I'll do either a gloss or a no gloss sealant.
Creating sand casting sculpture can be a great way to make art for the garden. When making the sculpture, you cannot see the way that it is going to turn out. You must visualize backwards and be open to surprises.
It's just releasing your inner child, I guess is how I see it. Because every one is a surprise. You're rarely going to make the same one twice. So the idea of just going out there and trying it, you're going to have a couple ones that, but hey, that makes you learn for the next one.
I learned a great deal about sand sculpture with Elaine. It was a wonderful experience, and she is a great teacher. Creativity exists around us all the time, and it's in nature, it's in our gardens, and why not play with it? Create some things with organic materials, and you can come up with beautiful sculptures that work with your environment. I'm Karla Pearce, and thanks for watching.